right. Well, welcome everyone to our Culture First Global Chapter event, exploring higher levels of adult development at work. My name is Jessie Jacob. I am the Senior Community Engagement Manager running our Global Chapters program here at Culture Amp. And a little bit of background if this is your first Culture First gathering, or if it's not, a quick little refresher. This community is sponsored by Culture Amp, and it's where global people leaders and change agents come together to be inspired by their peers, to ideate, and to share best practices on creating a better world of work. Community at Culture Amp happens in a lot of different areas. Today, this is obviously part of our global chapter program, these more intimate community-led groups of practitioners. We now have over 100 global chapters today. We are joined by a few of our chapter leads, Kirsten Anderson, who's with the Vancouver chapter, Natalia, who's with the Geneva, Switzerland chapter. I'm sorry if other folks have joined us and I don't see you yet, but yes, so we are this obviously is part of the chapters program. We have our flagship experience with Culture First Global, which is our big conference that happens every year. And stay tuned for an announcement on that because we're back this fall. We have our digital community, which is our People Geeks Slack community with over 20,000 People Geeks in there sharing ideas and resources and jobs and you name it. And my colleague, Demario Bell, who's also a Senior Community Engagement Manager at Culture Amp, is joined with us here today. So you get a chance to connect with him. A community happens with our podcast, our Culture First podcast. We also have the Geekly newsletter that comes out every week. So if you're not already subscribed to that, can't recommend that enough. So many good articles that come out every week. We have our geek ups and workshops and webinars. And then we also think about campers, which is the nomenclature for a Culture Amp employee. And so wherever our campers are interacting with community is where community happens. So who are we? What is it you say we do here? We're a group of people around the world united in the shared belief that a better world of work is possible. And by golly, we're willing to do something about it. We are all about bringing folks together who are passionate about unlocking humanity at work through creating inspiring experiences and purposeful connections. We have, like I said, we have over 100 of these global chapters, and the glue that holds us all together is these 5 core principles. So the first one is fostering belonging and acceptance. So we are all about creating spaces and environments where individuals feel like they can come and feel seen, heard, valued, and appreciated for just showing up and being themselves. The second core principle is being willing to reflect and grow. If we have this mission of transforming the way that we work, that comes back to our organizations transforming the way that we work, but that starts with us being the change we want to see in the world and being willing to turn that mirror around and say, how am I showing up? How am I contributing to this working situation, this working relationship, and what can I do? The third core principle is having the courage to be vulnerable. So this idea that vulnerability is at the heart, for any Brene Brown fans out there, vulnerability is at the heart of courage, and we create environments that are brave so that folks can come and explore their deeper levels of vulnerability. And ultimately that can create more trust and psychological safety if we're creating those environments and changing the way that we think about vulnerability in the workplace. The fourth principle is putting learning into action. When we started this community, we didn't want folks to just consume information and have it go in one ear and out the other. We wanted this to be an environment where folks could sit here and reflect and understand, what's one thing I can do to creating a better world of work? What can I put into action here? And then the last core principle is connection inside, business outside. That is essentially a fancy way of saying that in the context of this gathering, we're here to connect as humans first. And if that leads to us doing business on the outside of the gathering, that's awesome. But networking and trying to push business cards and things like that isn't the primary purpose. We're here to come and do the work together. All right, so with that, I'll stop sharing my screen here. Today, we are going to be talking about exploring higher levels of adult development at work. This idea of, hey, Christy Tange, good to see you. Another chapter lead in the house. This idea of how do we build the skill of awareness and presence? And we're in the state of VUCA, and especially for people and culture leaders, we have this a large amount of pressure on us to deal with not only the business as usual stuff that relates to the work we all have on our job descriptions, but also, we're dealing with how do we return to the office and respond thoughtfully to COVID still? How do we deal with the mental health crisis and the loneliness epidemic that we're having with remote teams? How do we deal with social injustice and civil unrest at this moment? And how do we create work environments where folks can feel like they belong and they are included in the work that we're doing? So this idea of if we are cultivating the skill of presence and awareness, then it helps us to be more effective leaders and individuals, and ultimately to create a better world of work. How this all came to be is, we are collaborating today with the Sounds True Foundation. We are joined today by Tami Simon. I can't tell you how excited I am about this. I've been a fangirl of Sounds True and their podcast, Insights at the Edge, for some time. But so Tami started the Sounds True Foundation back in 1985. They're all about mindfulness and waking people up around this world. She is a pioneer in mindful living and conscious business movement. She is all about leading with authenticity and heart. Like I said, she hosts a podcast called Insights at the Edge. If you aren't already subscribed to that, I would highly recommend you do that, where she interviews many of today's leading spiritual teachers. They delve deep into discoveries and personal experiences of their own journeys that I've learned so much from. And then she has an audio program called Being True: What Matters Most in Work, Life, and Love. She also runs a amazing program called the Inner MBA, which one of our chapter leads has had a chance to go through as well, that is all around helping you build conscious leadership principles. All right, with that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Tami. I'm just so grateful you're here. Thank you so much. This is a treat. I can't wait to just geek out with you all for this conversation.
All right, let's geek out, friends. Well, it's great to be with you, good people, and to know the principles that are at the core of what you're doing. It's inspiring to me. I feel very resonant with what you're up to. Totally. Now, this title, Exploring Higher Levels of Adult Development, talk about a geeky title. What the heck is going on? What are we talking about? And, I really think that what I was attempting with this title was to put some ideas that often people put in a category like mindfulness and spiritual awakening, spiritual development, discovering awareness, cultivating presence. I was trying to put it in a category of this is a human process of learning, actually, of growing in our capacities. Excuse me one moment here. This is the first conversation I've had today. My voice is just opening up here. This is a natural process of growing in our capacities. And it's really in growing in our capacities to open to, you ready for this? Innumerable perspectives. So if you think about it, when we first start growing and evolving, we have our perspective just through our eyes. Oh, this is me, I'm looking at the world. And then it's a big miracle when we discover that there's something called other, and this other person has a perspective that's different than our own and valid. Oh my God. Now, many people never even get to that stage of human development of adult. I'm very serious, actually, very, very serious, that the ability to take another person's perspective and say, that's useful, that's valid, that's let me just stop and look at the world through your eyes. A lot of people never get there, and they certainly never get there in relationship. Like, oh, there's two of us with two different perspectives in the room. Let alone as you grow there's this way that you can take more of a bird's eye perspective, sky-like perspective. It's like, whoa, I can look and see all of these different things are happening. That's the discovery of awareness versus being locked into your own mental processing all the time. There's a sense of opening up to a vast sense of the multidimensionality that we live in and all of the possible perspectives that exist in any given moment. So that's a bit of what I want to explore, and how as we open to that, we're opening to this quality known as presence. And what does it mean then to actually bring our presence to all of our interactions at work, to put presence into action at work? So that's what we'll be exploring. And I thought, as a good way to start and have all of us come here and be together, we could start with a very short presence-based exercise. You know, I could have said meditation. I didn't say, oh, now I'm saying it. Part of it is I'm trying to get us out of the notion that any of this is special spiritual stuff. That's what I'm trying to get out of. And I'm trying to get out of it because it's a human thing. It's a human thing to grow in perspectives and to grow in awareness. It's a human thing to be embodied and hear, fully hear, which is what any quote unquote meditation or mindfulness practice is really about. It's about opening to hearness, nowness, presence, this moment. It's just human. It's not some big mystical anything. You know, it really isn't. It's about how do we have connection if we're not here? If we're not in the present time. I mean, who's connecting with what?
We're taking a moment to arrive and taking a moment to just set aside all the other things that we've been doing so we can be more fully here.
Thank you, Jessie.
Yeah,
so
totally.
We're going to do that together, and we're going to do that by, ready for this, very simply, letting your belly be the center of your attention and letting your breath drop into your belly. So as you do this and you breathe in, just natural breathing here, your belly will get bigger. And you can notice that your belly is getting bigger when you breathe in deeply, not just into the front of your body, but into the back. You're really breathing in beautifully and deeply and enjoying your breathing. And you can feel the in-breath going to the back and sides, almost like you're blowing up a balloon that lives in your belly. And then on the exhale, you just let go. So the inhale, you blow up the balloon all the way to the back and the sides and the front. And the exhale, the balloon shrinks down and deflates. Let's take some more belly breaths like this. And naturally, as you do this, and you explore really letting your belly, the balloon, expand in all directions, you'll notice that your breath gets deeper and longer and slower. Just happens naturally as you blow up the balloon. The exhale is a leaving of tension from the body, a kind of release and dissolving. See if you can enjoy the process, enjoying your breathing, almost like you're sipping a beverage on a hot day that is cooling and refreshing, and you just love it. Your belly expands in all directions. And as you do this, see if there's a sinking. Each time you exhale, you sink a little bit more through your seat, through the contact of your sits bones on the seat that you're in. There's a feeling of gravity and sinking a bit. You're relaxing more into this moment on each exhale. All right, let's each take 3 more breaths and blow up the balloon in our lower belly, releasing through the exhale. And then you can just breathe naturally. You may feel that this created a shift in your quality of presence right here in this conversation. I know it did for me. And one of the things I love about the lower belly is, one, it's something you can do without anyone knowing what you're doing. Nobody knows you're breathing into your lower belly. They don't know what you're doing with your inner attention while you're listening. Oh, I'm breathing into my lower belly. The other thing I've found is that the lower belly is a terrific space in which difficult experience can be digested. So it's very spacious in there. Like, I notice when my attention's in my head, it feels a little bit like a ping pong ball, or a pinball or something. It's running all around, blah, 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 blah. It's noisy and it's, bouncing off, and I'm not sure where it's going and what's happening. When attention's in the lower belly, what I notice is that there's this quality of a holding space that's opening up. And in that holding space, lots of conflicting things can coexist. And it's almost like a big cosmic stew, if you will, can be in the belly and can kind of cook and distill and come into some kind of coherence when my energy's in my lower belly. And that also, the lower belly energy is very connected to my legs, which are grounded in the energy of the earth. And that's also really important, especially, Jesse, I think you mentioned the VUCA world that we're in. And I think many of us are feeling this intense pressure to be more and more grounded. How do we bring a grounded presence to all of the challenges that we're facing and all of the people who are coming at us with the pinballs going on in their heads and everything that's happening? How do we become a loving and grounded space for other people? And I think the lower belly is a terrific resource. So there's a lot I want to share with you, but before I go on, I just want to see if anybody has any comments, either that they want to put in the chat or say out loud about what that experience was like for them. You don't have to, but if you want to, just unmute yourself and say a word or two, or not.
I'll even share too, Tami, as I'm so comfortable, but even just like the moment that really resonated for me for while you led that was even just thinking about, like, how can you enjoy this? And even just like that quick little reframe of like, oh yeah, I'm just sitting here enjoying a beverage, on a hot day. There's a moment of that quality of just like, and ease that brings, rather than like, oh, I need to breathe and I need to get into my stomach and all these things.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thanks for saying that. And I do think that, you're ready for this, just enjoying one breath. Doesn't even have to be in your belly. Any breathing into any part of your body for one full breath and enjoying it will change your state
I love that.
dramatically. And what's interesting, if you want to, is exploring one breath, because you can also do this. No one knows what you're doing. You're enjoying a breath. What do they think you're, sitting there, and you are sitting there listening, and you're enjoying a breath. While you're enjoying a breath, the inhale, it has its own quality of enjoyment. It's really interesting if you really get into the inhale, whether you're breathing through your nose or your mouth, doesn't matter. It has this subtle ride in. And it's just, it's free. It's amazing. You don't even have to go to Starbucks and, lay down $6. It's just right here. And then the top of the inhale has its own quality of enjoyment of like, what's going to happen? And then the exhale, oh my God, I could take the whole next, 33 minutes, but we won't. The exhale is this tremendous releasing tool where it takes out all of our garbage, all of everything can get, it's people like, exhale. And then, of course, the end of the exhale is this very interesting space where we explore, you ready, at the end of the exhale, that is our gateway, actually, in the body, in our natural experience. It's our gateway to awareness, to this higher discovery of something that we're not identified at that moment with being a thinker. Of course, we're people who thoughts come through us, and hopefully brilliant and inspiring and uplifting thoughts for other people. And here's a key idea: new thoughts. Like, where do those brand new, brilliant new thoughts come from? Sometimes people call them downloads, like, I just got a download. Do you know what I mean? It's not a recycled thought. It's not the thought that I heard from Tami or from some other person, or that Tami heard from someone else, and then she said it, and then she said it, and then someone else. Like, actually, for a moment, oh my God, I got a download. This brand new thing happened. Now I know how to solve this problem. Like, when and how does that happen? It often happens, and of course people know this, when they're in the shower, and they're in the bathroom, when they're swimming in the water, when they're resting, that's because we're suddenly in that space at the end of the exhale, that same open space where we're not scheming and trying to problem solve and doing all of that. We're open and receptive, expanded and relaxed. We're just being. And just being is another way of talking about discovering this quality of presence or awareness. So I want to talk more about what I think characterizes these qualities of presence when we're engaged in the world. So one of the qualities is this quality of openness. I mentioned the bird's eye view, and often people equate awareness with the sky. The clouds that go through the sky. The clouds are our various thoughts and emotions and reactions. Can we develop something that in the tradition is called the sky-like nature of mind? Can we have a sky-like nature about us? And here's the you could say, yeah, great, Tam, I'm glad you have a sky-like nature. Are you going to become like a space geek? I might. But here's the thing. A good space geek, I love the use of your word geek, Jesse, in all the introduction materials, but a good space geek is appropriate in the moment, aware of the context, in touch with other people, also in touch with what's coming up inside of them, in their body that's informing them, and has action that is appropriate in the moment. That's what space geeking gives birth to. It actually gives birth to what in the tradition is called spontaneous Buddha activity, natural spontaneous Buddha activity, or you could say presence in the moment. What's needed in this situation? Okay, so openness, I think, is one of the most important qualities. And you can feel openness around people or not. You can feel closeness around people. I'm sure you've noticed this, people geeks who are here with us. You sensitive people humans, you probably know when you're with someone and they feel closed. It's like, I don't think I'm going to say, this is not the person I'm going to be vulnerable with right now. They're closed. And you can feel from someone when they feel open. And here's another quality of presence. There's a warmth. Like the most present people I've ever been around, it almost feels like sitting next to a hearth fire. Anything's possible. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're with a fire, you've ever sat next to an open fire in a fireplace, or because people don't have as many open fires as they used to in the world of electric fires and things. But even an electric fire, it still has that quality. There's like a warmth and a naturalness and a receptivity. Here's another aspect of openness, and this is really important, and it's why I started with the belly. It's something we could call embodied immediacy. Embodied immediacy. And what I mean by that is our body is always in present time, right? Your thoughts can be anywhere. Your thoughts can be in the past about this thing that happened whenever. It can be about what am I going to have for breakfast when Tami is done with this. It can be anything. But our body is always in only one place. The present moment. It's the only place our body could be. So when we're in touch with our inner sensations, you could call it our inner body, what's happening in our belly, what's happening in our heart. What is our heart responding to? What's running through our heart? What are the emotions that we're feeling, the kind of exquisite sensitivity that's in our heart? When we're in touch with our body, that is a way that we become more and more in present time. Present time people have a quality of embodied immediacy. And also, as I mentioned, one of the qualities of presence is this type of spontaneous intelligence. You could call it original intelligence. Like, people who they say, oh, that's an out of the box thinker or something like that. Oh, that person is such an out of the box thinker. They're not just re-throwing around other people's ideas. They're in touch. There's an originality because they're in touch with the origin of the moment that's happening. There's a natural originality about you. About all of us, actually, the more we connect with our natural presence. Okay, now one of the questions, of course, is, well, how do we build presence? How do we create it? How do we become more present? Let's do this thing. Let's do it. And the very interesting thing is that it's more of an undoing than a doing. Like, have you ever heard of this phrase, phony holy, or phony anything, really? It's like people construct oh, I've watched all these present people. I know what they do. They stare at you, and before you know it, you're like some weirdo who's staring at people. Like, no, actually. So you can't actually construct it. It's more of a deconstruction. And what are you deconstructing? You're deconstructing your distractedness. What are you doing that's distracting you? How many things are you doing at once? Are you in touch with your body? Like, by naturally coming back to the beautiful breathing and enjoying your breathing, and by naturally coming back, we just did the little practice of the belly, you become more in touch with what's known as, you ready for this? Your natural state. That's what it's called in the wisdom traditions, our natural state. And the interesting thing is that our natural state is present, open, aware, heartfully sensitive, grounded, receptive, and brilliantly intelligent. Whoa, that's our natural state as human beings. How far have we come? All of us, really, it gets so covered over by our perception of other people's expectations, the demands that we see on us, and our own exiting into a rational lead instead of letting our rationality support and come online in support of our intuitive knowing, our presence. Different way of being, very different way of being. So when we notice, I'm not in my body, I'm in pinball brain, that's the cue. It's a noticing of all of the different distractions and actually having a commitment. One of the people we work with, who you've probably all heard of, Eckhart Tolle, who's a terrific world-renowned spiritual teacher and author, he teaches a course called Becoming a Teacher of Presence. And he talks about how all of us can become everyday teachers of presence. And as a culture leader, as anyone who's trying to impact a culture of other people, I'm going to go so far as to say your presence, your quality of presence is the number one thing that matters. That's what I believe. I believe that. I believe that that's what people sense and feel, no matter what you say. And if being around you helps people feel more in touch with their body, with their heart, with their openness, with their sense of brilliant possibility, you've done a tremendous job, because all of our states of being are contagious, and presence is contagious. Courage is contagious. Open-heartedness is contagious. And we can be that type of positive influence, positive contagion in every interaction. So we come back to presence. We make a commitment. I'm going to be an everyday teacher of presence. That's like my number one job. And it's amazing if you do this in any relationship. I don't have children, but I've heard from people who do have children that this is the number one thing, of course, that your children want. I can tell you it's the number one thing my wife wants from me. She wants my presence. She'll be like, you're listening to me while you're writing stuff down, or you picked up your phone in the middle of our conversation at dinner. Like, what's going on? Who are you? Who are you? Why is your phone even out at dinner? Like, what's going on here? And when I bring my whole presence to our relationship, it's glory. And I believe that's true in all of our relationships and in our work. So we have challenges, right? Big challenges at work. And if we commit to being an everyday teacher of presence, how does that impact our ability to handle some of those challenges? Well, okay, some of the challenges we're facing is more and more is being asked of us. We're in very demanding environments, and we have to have good boundaries in order to deal with all the demands that are coming at us. So how do we both have good boundaries, deal with this increased demand, be true to ourselves, and be true to what everybody wants from us? Okay, big challenge. It's a big challenge we're all facing right now. I would add on to that in many of the cultures in which a lot of us are embedded, there's also a lot of emotional unrest. People are referring to it as mental health challenges. You can call it what you want. People are freaked out, they're upset, they're grief-filled, there's a lot of loss, there's a lot of unexpected shocks. we're watching, this is my view, our collective civilization that we've built on a premise of separation. We're watching that unravel in our midst while we're the creators of this new world of connectivity and lifting each other up. But we're in the midst of this unraveling and this new creation, and we're under tremendous pressure. Okay, how do we navigate? Well, from a place of presence, we have available to us sentences like, I'd like to sleep on that. Let me get back to you about what I can do and what's possible in this situation. We can then sit, and we can sit in that place, not with our brain like the pinball machine, but with our belly taking this all in. And we can, after sitting and being with it and reflecting, I loved, Jesse, in the opening when you said reflecting and growing and what can we do? What's our role? What's our sense? Like, come back from a place of personal responsibility. Here's what I can do. Here are the creative ideas I've had. Here are the possibilities that I see in this situation. Here's my limits. Here's what's not going to be possible. Let me put it right out. This is not going to be possible. But here's some new ideas I've had. Let's talk about it. And let me listen to what you have to say. So this quality of presence is actually the context in which we can address this overwhelming situation we find ourselves in right now at work. We can also declare within our cultures that we're committed to building communities that value presence. What? If you don't like that word, we value open-hearted connection, groundedness. We value cultures of self-care and wellness. There is no wellness, real wellness, without presence. You have to feel good in your body, in your being, to be well. And then you have to live behind those commitments. It sounds true. During the pandemic, we instituted quarterly self-care days, 1 day a quarter, where everybody got a day off. I never saw a group of people so happy. They were a lot happier about that than any other benefit or bonus we'd ever offered. And being able to just say, we value your self-care. We all need extra self-care right now. We're under extra stress, extra pressure. Did we lose productivity? No. I don't believe in 1 day a quarter we quote unquote lost productivity. What did we gain? We gained a group of people who knows that we care about them. We care about their real well-being. We care about them having some time to dedicate to themselves. One of the teachers in the inner MBA, whom I have a lot of respect for, is a gentleman named Tony Schwartz. And he's the CEO of something called the Energy Project. And he teaches on the Energy Project model as part of the inner MBA. And I think this is a model that we can appreciate and also bring into our companies. And in it, he talks about how you could just very simply see a graph where there's the quality of your energy and the quantity of your energy and quality. This is the quality, this is the quantity. And there are 4 quadrants. It's a very simple model. So you can have a lot of energy, but it's not very good quality. And that's the grind it out zone. Let's grind it out. You can have not so much energy and not very good quality, and that's the burnout zone. And the truth is, a lot of us and a lot of our people are in the burnout zone right now. That's the truth. There's not good quality energy. Good quality comes from presence. You can see that. You know it in your own experience. After you've been on a holiday or taken a long walk in nature, followed savored not just one breath, but two or three. You watch the quality of your energy gets better and better. So a lot of us and a lot of the people we work with, they're in the burnout zone, low quality energy and not that much of it. Then you can move to the other two quadrants on this 4-quadrant energy map. You can have a lot of energy and it can be high quality. And that's the high performance zone. And of course, that's where we all want to live, right? I think all of us, we want to be high performers. We want to be excellent. And the people who work with us, that's what they want too. Like, I actually think that's what humans want. We don't want to come home from a day at work and be, yeah, like I kind of phoned it in and, I kind of gave my mediocre self to my job and I was mediocre today. Hi, I had a mediocre day. How was your day? No one wants that. No matter what we do, we want to say, oh my God, I brought my A game. But so much of any of us are in the burnout zone. This may sound like, Tami, what the hell are you talking about? What A game? Well, I'm talking about the A game because I think that's what, as human beings, gives us innate fulfillment. So I'll speak for myself. That's what gives me fulfillment. When I bring my A game to my day, I feel really good. I feel really good. So what's in the bottom where we don't have very much energy, but we still have a high quality of energy? It's called rest. It's called rest. And the ideal is that we go in between high performance and rest. That's what we want for ourselves. That's what we want for our people. And the thing you could say, well, that's very idealistic. How can we have high performance? There are all these thousands of things we need to do. We can't rest. Well, then what happens actually is that you're hobbling yourself over time. And we watch this. People go in the grind zone, and from the grind zone, they move to the burnout zone. Instead, if you say we value high performance and rest, when you have high performance, you know this yourself. When you're in a high performance place, how much can you get done? I know for me, I can get done. I'm going to say this in strong language. I can get done 10 times as much as I'm doing when I'm in a burnout place. And I just need to take a nap or do something like that. It's just, that sounds true. We instituted something. Once again, it shows that we're paying attention and that we care. It's called Wellness Wednesday. 30 minutes on Wednesdays to please do something that's like rest. Pet your cat. Whatever you want. And, people do this anyway, of course, at least I hope they do. But by announcing and saying, we care about your wellness, Wellness Wednesday, please do something today. Please do something that allows you to go between high performance and rest. So I think that model is very helpful. And each of us can start in whatever ways we can of influencing our cultures to say high performance and rest. That's what we value. We're not in the grind out and burnout way of being. We value the quality of our energy, not just the quantity of it. So that's I think a very important idea. And I want to make sure we have some time for discussion. So I think at this point, I've shared a few things about how I think growing in awareness, which is the same as giving birth to our presence in the here and now, is actually, I'm going to say it again, our number one task, not just at work, but as loving, caring human beings who want to bring our best to the people in our lives. I have 2 animals here with me. Maybe you heard them shake a couple times. And to the animals in our lives, I can tell you that when I bring my presence to my interaction with Raspberry and Bula, who are here with me, the appreciation is unbounded and immense. I mean, there's nothing quite like it. So this is our gift to the world. So anyway, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. I'd also love to hear from you vulnerable humans here. who are open to sharing and want to bring yourselves forward if you feel comfortable. Anything you want to share, just open the mic and here we go.
So good, Tami. Thank you. To kick us off, and then I want to open it up. Some of my like personal aha moments through some of this have been around like how we avoid presence and awareness because it's super uncomfortable at times. Like taking the moment to breathe and taking a moment to kind of get into your body and out of your head. Shit's gonna come up. It's gonna be uncomfortable, and you maybe feel a sensation or an emotion that you're like, oh, I don't like that. And so we are so accustomed to wanting to avoid that. And another thing I was thinking about is like how we have these like just natural ebbs and flows of life, and how we almost don't want that to be the case. We want it to be always on or off completely. And rather than being able to like start, stop, it's like, no, the marathon just keeps going, rather than like, you're going to sprint and then you're going to take a break and like recover your muscles. And then you're going to go again. It's almost like we are trying to avoid that like natural rhythm of our body, especially I'll say as women with like having a cycle. It's like so many of us are not in tune with how that process actually works with women who are with individuals who experience a menstrual cycle, I should say. And we don't know it, but oftentimes we're settling for dysfunction is the thing that keeps coming up for me. And so when we don't have this ability to cultivate presence and awareness, we don't even realize that we are in a dysfunctional way of being. So that's some of the stuff that was coming up for me.
You said great things, Jesse, and I just want to comment on a couple of them. One, we're settling for dysfunction. We're part of a dysfunctional culture that, as I said, was built on principles of dysfunction, which has given birth to our workplace cultures, which are also dysfunctional. So we're culture creators. We're creating a new world, and we have to create it from presence, not from the dysfunction of the old. We got to step out of the old, let it dismantle, and start from this new place. Now, you also said something very interesting, like an athlete that lets you were implying, sprint and then a rest. And, the principles from the Energy Project also have to do with this notion of being like corporate athletes. And I notice I really relate to that. And, of course, I haven't played sports since I was in high school, but I still remember my glory days on the basketball court at a very small little private school that I was at, which I've, in my own mind, made a big deal out of. But anyway, this notion of like, what brings out elite performance from an athlete? They know they need to rest. They're not going to go into the big game all tired and think they're going to win. No way. No way. Are they having the proper nutrition? They better be having the proper nutrition. Are they getting the proper recovery time? Let's hope that our, World Cup athletes, I mean, you can say, well, World Cup, whatever. But no, each one of us in our own way, bringing our excellence to the team is like an athlete with a lot of these same principles. And then just finally, Jesse, and then we'll move over here to Izzy. This comment about being with what's uncomfortable. The fact is, look, all of us are really uncomfortable right now. And are you consciously uncomfortable or unconsciously uncomfortable? Because you're going to be uncomfortable no matter what, because so many people are in so much distress. Are you part of the uncomfortable, unconscious distress, or are you willing to take on conscious uncomfortableness? Ouch, this is terrible, it hurts. And I'm someone who can be with it and digest it and move it through. So then I'm in a place of openness, receptivity, and brilliant, capable action. All right, Izzy, let's see, please.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all of your insights. We're very much aligned. And something I've been personally thinking about, especially is sitting with discomfort, sitting in this space that we know is dysfunctional, is if we're present, we also have to be present with our own dysfunction that could be dysfunction in our bodies. And to say, maybe that needs a different kind of rest. Maybe that needs something different than my colleagues need. And it's okay for me I don't need to share that with them, but I also do need to like make sure that I'm taking care of myself even if I need to be uncomfortable to recognize that it is different than what I maybe hoped or expected to kind of meet in this world, which, as we know, is also layered. But yeah, it's just like, I'm curious if you have thought much about dysfunction on like a physical level of illness, and how that works as well within like how we show up.
Well, I think the first thing is to recognize that we're all individuals, as you're pointing to, and we have individual needs. So, what's Einstein slept 12 hours a night? I mean, okay. That's what gave birth to his genius. He needed 12 hours of sleep a night. Unusual. Maybe some of us need more sleep than others. That's just a kind of public domain example. But I think the point you're making is that, at least what I hear in what you're saying, is we have to prioritize our health. If our health is not there, we don't have the platform for presence. Hi, I'd like to be present with my body that I'm ignoring, that I'm whipping like a donkey, asking it to keep doing things that it's not capable of doing right now without, no, that you can't have a birth of beautiful presence and the enjoyment of breathing and being in your body if your body isn't well cared for. And so we all have to do that. And it's different for each of us. And, I think that it's a lot of the basics: sleep, diet, exercise, friendship. Like it's those kind of, social engagement, like those basics. And yeah, it has to be way at the top of the list. And we're all different.
Yeah. Thank you for your insight on that. That definitely resonates. And also, I think I'm curious in general as we are having these conversations, because I think this conversation, even though we've been trying to have it for a very long time, is very kind of not big enough, not universal enough, but that there are things that like can't be resolved just with basic care. So if someone has chronic illness, or someone has like something that comes up very unexpectedly, that those do have different requirements, and also that they are normal within our experience.
Yeah. And I think as cultures of care, which is the way that I would hope a workplace could be described. Oh, I work at a company that's a culture of care. That's a nice way to describe a workplace. That's what we should be, not a demand factory of disengagement. But I work for a company that's a culture of care. I sat down with the HR professional, whatever, at this company, shared my situation, and they came up with a creative solution for me that both worked for me and supported the company. And my team also was given this information in the right, respectful, legal way, and they want to support me. It's amazing what I've seen the people at Sounds True do to support their teammates who are going through difficult times, whether it's within their family, with their children, grandparents, or personal health crises, and creating meal trains. And like, people want to be there for each other. They derive value from being there for each other. I'll pick that up. I'll do that. You're going through something. I mean, it's amazing.
Something
That's
that's
amazing.
coming. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I think that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Izzy, you're the best. I'm so glad you're here. It's so good to see you. Something that I was thinking about, Tami, is like, I love what you said, how our natural state is this one of like presence, openness, sensitive, grounded, receptive. It's almost like we don't have that as a core belief at work. It's almost like that we don't believe that.
Yeah.
And which is why we're seeing what we're seeing.
Yeah. I mean, if you treat people like a cog in a machine, you're going to, if that's how we're viewing things, like This is a productivity machine of which you are, those aren't humans. Humans in their natural state want to be there for each other, care about each other, want to create and be excellent, generate value for customers because we care about our customers, want to be creative because that's who we are naturally as beings, as people who love to create. And we can actually inspire all of those qualities in the workplace, and they work for us. The kind of loyalty you get from people who know you care about them, you all know this. There's nothing like it. The company was really there for me when my kid was going through blah, blah, blah. And now they're asking me to help because someone mysteriously, had to, quit and left, and there's an open position. Of course I'm going to be there. Of course I'm going to be there. Everything is reciprocal. Like whether we name it or not, everything, all of our relationships have this economy of exchange underneath them. Not in a bad way, just in the sense of natural reciprocity. Nobody wants to be like, you gave, and I never gave something back to you. That's not how people are. When people give to me, I'm like, I'd like to give back to you. Thank you so much. What can I do for you? Thank you. I can't believe you. Thank you. That's how we are.
I was listening to your episode recently on Insights at the Edge with Rainn Wilson around creating a spiritual revolution. And one of the parts that really stuck with me is this idea of like what you're saying is like we're reimagining the like core beliefs and the core foundational parts of the systems of how we think about things. And we're like, there's like this mythology almost of like, people are selfish, humans are greedy and they're aggressive and they're out for themselves and it's always been this way, versus like, is that actually true? And what would happen if we shifted that to like really truly understanding the like natural state of like, we are cooperative, we are collaborative, we do want to help each other. So even just like rethinking some of that foundational stuff is core.
Even there's someone we work with from the Greater Good Science Center, Dr. Keltner, who I interviewed, who brings into question the evolutionary notions of survival of the fittest, which are now quite under scrutiny, to survival of the most cooperative, the most collaborative species. And in fact, if we continue on our survival of the fittest, me first, dominator paradigm, we're just going to destroy ourselves. We will not be known as the successful moment in evolution. We'll be a successful disaster in evolution. Whereas if we can become these collaborators, we'll be unstoppable as a species. And I think that's where we're headed. And I think those of us who are trying to do this in the workplace, where it's tough, but where most of us spend our time, we're demonstrating that this is possible, that we are going to thrive. The kinds of companies we create, these are going to be the thriving companies in the future. And I think they will be. And I think they'll be the kinds of companies that customers want to be associated with. I love that brand. I love them.
So good. Anyone else want to share anything else that's resonating for them at this moment, or an experience you'd like to share?
I just want to underscore, Jesse, you talked about being uncomfortable. And, I'd say I feel a little uncomfortable in this conversation. And I feel a little uncomfortable because I've shared a lot about myself. I don't know how much of it's landed. I don't know if it's like I'm at the right kind of place with the group that I'm meeting for the first time. But one of the things you mentioned, the audio series that I created, was called Being True, because I think in addition to wanting to bring our best, I believe there's a human value that we each have, which is being true to ourselves. And that when we are, that's a good day. It's a good day. And so I've tried to be true to myself in this conversation, despite being uncomfortable. And often as a person, because I've been so committed to being true to myself, I'm uncomfortable a lot. And I've gotten used to it. And it's okay. It's okay. So I guess what I'm saying to each of you is this, it sounds true, we call it brave truth telling, which is it's a aspect of into the door. See, I'm going to turn to you.
Awesome. Okay, is it Hannah? Would love to hear from you.
Yeah, I just got a question about being true or sounding true to Tami. Like, what's the difference between, as you speak at the moment, there's Tami, there's a question about being true to ourselves, and kind of sounding true maybe as well. What's the difference, in your opinion, to sounding true or being true to oneself and truth?
Sure. Well, truth is a big idea, and it's always hard to know, capital T, truth. What is it in any situation? That's complex and difficult. But being true to yourself is actually not that difficult in my experience. It requires a certain amount of inner connectivity and courage. But what you're able to do in terms of being true is saying, here's what's happening for me right now. What's happening for me right now is, I notice I feel a little startled because my dogs have just barked like an invader was coming when it was really the cleaning crew that was in the wrong location and was supposed to be at the house and not at the studio. So, I mean, I'm just saying I feel uncomfortable. Now I'm sharing. A part of me knows that this group will be accepting of this situation and not, hold it against me that my dogs are. Another part of me is wondering if they're going to think I'm unprofessional. So I can be true and share with you my inner landscape and inner world. I can do that in any situation. And when I do that, what I notice is that people trust me. This is in terms of my work with people. People trust. I can even say what's happening for me is something's coming up that I don't feel I can share with you right now. It's not appropriate for me to share it with you. It's not legal for me to share it with you. And, but it's coming up, but I'm not going to say it. So you can be true. You can be very transparent to a very high degree. And that generates trust. So that to me is what being true is about. It's about saying that I'm congruent as a person. My insides and my voice and my speech and my behavior is all of one thing. And we can do that. It takes courage to do that. Because you can also say, I feel sad or upset or, no matter, we may be doing different things.
I love that. That's a perfect embodiment of what one of our community principles around having the courage to be vulnerable. So I love that. Hannah, is there anything else you wanted to follow up with on that? No? Okay. Awesome. Is it Tanisha? Tanasha, hey.
Hi. Sorry, I just sprinted to get my headphones. Let me take my deep belly breath really quick.
I love it. And let me compliment on your background. It's so cool.
Oh, thank you. I worked hard on it. I have a question, Tami, or anybody else that has even had this experience. I'm kind of in that space of trying to become fully embodied and trying to marry that with my career. And I'm just curious, what was your experience with becoming fully embodied or being comfortable to get to that space? Or have you always been that way in your professional career? Or did you transition into that space? And if you did, what were some of the tools or situations that helped you step into that?
Sure. Well, the first thing I want to say is the person that I studied and learned a lot about embodiment from, his name's Reggie Ray. And he wrote a book, which sounds true, called Touching Enlightenment. And the very first sentence of the book says, to be fully embodied is basically to be enlightened. So I don't know about the idea of being fully embodied all the time. To me, it's always aspirational. Can I be a little bit more embodied in each moment? Like that's, so it's like to just to say that in terms of the language, like fully embodied is a terrific aspiration, but can I be more and more embodied right here and right now? And for me, what I think motivated that, in it is underneath, and it relates, Hanno, to your question as well about sounds true, is that I was very disgusted growing up as a young person when I saw people in authority who said one thing, but I felt something different around them. I could tell there was a disconnection from their embodied presence in what they were saying. They were acting like an actor, or at worse, a liar. And I was like, wow, adults are like, this is terrible. What's going on around here? I'm supposed to trust these people? It's crazy. There's no coherence. And I was like, I want to find coherent people. I want to study and learn from coherent people. And I want to become a coherent person. And when I discovered an embodied approach to meditation, I knew it was really important to me. And I committed myself to doing a lot of embodied practices. So we did one, being in the belly, but then you can practice occupying your heart and occupying what's known in yoga as the central channel of the body, which yoga practice brings us in touch with, which is a line of energy that runs all the way up in front of the spine. You can practice really simple things, and I love this at work. Seat and feet, that's one of my mottos. Seat and feet. Are my feet on the earth, and is my seat grounded? Can I feel that? Another thing I always check in with is my hands and my feet. Are they becoming like claws? Which means I'm tense. Am I a little bit, like holding on, like, oh my God, and I can feel the tension grow in my hands. And my feet also kind of can get, like, when I'm really reactive in a situation. So can I open and be more open? And like that, open palm. That's also an embodied posture. And so there are a lot of practices that teach this, somatic leadership, somatic meditation, yoga, any of these things. And I think, truthfully, committing to some kind of practice path like that of some kind is so instructive, because if you do it and you spend hours learning about these practices, then you can call on them like that. So I don't know, Tanasha, if I'm saying your name correct, if I answered your question. Did that help?
Yes, that's very helpful. And I also wrote down the resource that you said earlier, Eckhart Tolle's course, Becoming a Teacher of Presence.
Yeah, it's a beautiful course. Yeah.
Thank you.
I love it. Awesome question. Izzy, we only have 3 minutes left. So do you have like any last minute comment or anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to add in, just because in a different life, I am a licensed rehabilitation massage therapist, and just like a physical practice that was super helpful for me is just to imagine, like, when you go through a door, like into a treatment room, nothing else matters. And not in that, like, there isn't other stuff going on, but to imagine everything else that you might be coming into that room with is kind of like luggage, and you can put it down. It's still going to be there when you come back, and to have that mindset of it's still going to be there. And maybe when I walk back out, I don't need to pick all of it back up. And I think, based on what my clients think of me, I think it's probably one of the most powerful practices I did.
Love that. The doorway. So, what a metaphor too. Incredible. All right. We only have a couple minutes left. One of our principles is putting learning into action. So I would love to do what we call a chat bomb here at the Culture First community, to put in the chat, what's one thing that you're willing to put into action from what you learned here today, but don't press enter. So when you have it in the chat box, give me a thumbs up, and then we're all gonna press enter together. So in the chat, what's one thing you're committed to putting into action that you learned here today? Maybe it's one of the micro practices we were talking about. Maybe it's leading your team in a grounding session, or taking a moment to arrive before your next meeting. Maybe it's scheduling a 30-minute time to do some yoga in the middle of the day, whatever it is to help you cultivate a little bit more presence and awareness in the way you live and the way that you work. Put that in the chat. Give me a thumbs up when you have your response. All right, couple more seconds. All right, on 3, we're going to press enter. 1, 2, 3, enter. Love it. Practicing body immediacy. Listening to your body, 30-minute walk. So good. All right. Well, thank you all for joining. The Global Chapter event has a session on August 9th with Teresa Fessenstein, one of our community members, and we're talking about AI in the workplace and the future of work with people leaders. If you're wanting to dig into that, and it's a cool topic, very top of mind right now. This recording will be up on YouTube and shared out afterwards. Sounds True is also offering our community a discount for their Inner MBA program. So after this, in the follow-up email, we'll send you a little info about that if you would like to join the Inner MBA program. Can't recommend that enough. And we'll I don't know. I think that's it. Tami, thank you so much. Anything else that you wanted to add before we do a clap out here?
Yeah, I just want to thank all of you for the work that you do in business. And, you're right there in so much challenge and difficulty, trying to bring your good hearts and skills to a lot of people who are suffering. And I just want to thank you for your nobility of purpose and your good work. So thank you. And I hope anything I've said has inspired you. And what I want you to know is you're not alone. There are a lot of us out there. We are a rising movement, and we will create a different kind of world together. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Tami. This was awesome. So good. More of this, please. All right, team. Thanks for being here. Cheers to co-creating a better world of work. We'll see you next time. Bye.